How are dual-use objects targeted in IHL? Imagine a power plant that lights up homes and powers military bases at the same time. How do armed forces decide when it's okay to attack such a place? That's what we're exploring today. Dual-use objects are civilian structures that can also be used for military purposes. Think of bridges, water systems, or communication hubs that serve both civilians and the military. Under international humanitarian law, these objects don't have a special status but are judged based on how they are used during a conflict. The main rule is the principle of distinction. Parties to a conflict must tell apart civilian objects from military targets. Civilian objects are protected unless they are being used for military purposes at that moment. When a dual-use object is used for military reasons, it can become a legitimate target, but only if it meets two key conditions. First, it must make a real contribution to military action. Second, attacking it must provide a clear military advantage. When targeting a dual-use object, the attack should focus only on its military use. It's not about harming civilians or damaging civilian morale. Protecting civilians is always a priority. Attacks must follow the principles of proportionality and precautions. Proportionality means the harm to civilians should not be excessive compared to the military gain. Precautions involve taking all possible steps to reduce civilian harm. A tricky part is that dual-use objects often have both civilian and military functions happening at the same time. For example, a power plant supplying electricity to both homes and military bases. If it's used mainly for military purposes, it can be targeted. But the attacker must carefully weigh the military benefit against the possible harm to civilians, like losing electricity for hospitals or homes. In practice, this means dual-use objects are not automatically targets. The military must verify the object's use and ensure the attack is directed only at the military part. They must choose means and methods that minimize civilian damage. If the civilian harm from attacking the object would be too high compared to the military advantage, then the attack is not allowed. The status of a dual-use object can change during a conflict. If it shifts from civilian to military use or vice versa, its protection status must be reassessed. This process helps balance military needs with the protection of civilians. Overall, international humanitarian law aims to control how dual-use objects are targeted. It makes sure that military necessity does not override the need to protect civilians. This careful approach helps prevent indiscriminate attacks and keep civilian populations safer during wartime.